Welcome to Friday night. We are the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams.
I am Chris Adams.
And tonight it is time for the Marquee, where we get to rank things. And people question our sanity and whatnot.
Or we question each other's sanity.
That which is definitely going to be happening tonight. Most definitely. Before we get started, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who is here. Thank you for watching this live. If you're not watching this live, if you're replaying it, we appreciate you watching it as well. Let us know your thoughts, feelings, and everything down below in the comments. Let's knock out the YouTube things real quick. Streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. If you have any questions, comments, issues, complaints, any problem with where we put any movie in particular, please let us know at that address right there, just as long as it's followed by some zeros and preferably one other number, at least somewhere in that mess. Also, if you want us to know your ranking and read off your ranking at the end of the program, please drop that in the Streamlabs also. Be more than happy to share your ranking and compare it with ours. Also, patreon.com/cinefanatics. If you feel that we are worthy of your support and you have the means to support us, please hop on the tier that is good for you. There's a $1 tier, $5 tier. It's real easy. Only two to choose from. So hop on the one that is good for you. $1 tier gets you our Discord. $5 gets you access to the Discord plus the Hangouts, the monthly watch along, and the monthly trivia hangout. So, yep, lots of fun.
And a foot long.
And a foot long?
We may not deliver on that one.
Probably not. Very likely no. Anyways, what are we doing tonight? Tonight we are ranking some Henry Cavill movies. Let's go through real quick. What are we ranking? Those of y'all that want to keep track, here are the 12 movies that we are ranking tonight, starting with The Count of Monte Cristo, going all the way to the very recently released Argylle. Although I kind of feel like that I also want to preemptively rank, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, something like that.
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, yeah.
Yes. I kind of want to rank that just based off the trailer alone, but
it looks fun.
Yeah, but here's the movies we're tackling tonight. Going to have a couple of Zack Snyder stuff in there, so that should be a lot of fun to talk about. Plenty of other good things in there. So, if y'all got that list, let's talk about tonight's rules. Johnny.
Yeah, he's not here. It's 2 films per tier. There's 12 movies.
Okay.
So
all right. So
I gave him the night off. It was too easy. Like, I'm not paying him for this.
I feel like he gets more time off than I do.
We don't really pay him anyway, but that's beside the point.
Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it. Is Carl working tonight at least? Carl? Is Carl here?
Oh, Carl's always here.
Oh, yeah. Carl's reliable. He's super reliable. Hit it, Carl. All right. This is the Marquee board. Some of y'all may be familiar with the concept of tier ranking. Here's our custom board. We've got S standing for superb. This is the top tier. We've got F, which is any word that means it's bad that starts with F. Use your imagination. It's fricked. It's Finkel. It's, I don't know.
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel.
Einhorn is Finkel. I don't know why I picked Finkel, but now we're just going to spend the entire episode quoting Ace Ventura.
Which doesn't make any sense for a Henry Cavill Marquee, but whatever.
You know, Henry Cavill just needs to be in an Ace Ventura movie. But anyways, that is how this is going to go, where we're going to be tier ranking. Let's start off with beforehand real quick. You are running the poll, so me and my brother here will be giving our opinions and ranking these movies. There will also be a poll in the comments, so you are also free to vote on that, and that will be tallied with our votes as well.
You can help force our hand and dictate where we put movies, sort of. It's like a 1/3 type thing, so you only have 1/3 of a voice, really.
Yeah. Nerd, we really do like your pun. Tonight's cavalcade. I was just mentioning to my brother beforehand, why can I not think of funny puns and stuff?
Because you're not clever or funny. Let's go.
Ow. Why do you hurt me so much when I show you nothing but brotherly love? Like, this is Philadelphia here. I mean, I'm just saying. That is City of Brotherly Love, right? All right. Anyways, Henry Cavill, starting off with our first movie, we have got, as soon as I figure out where it's at, 2002's The Count of Monte Cristo. So I'm going to start this off. This is such a fun movie. Between the prison escape and the revenge plot, it's like two movies in one. And one of the two movies is The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Which is funny, seeing how this is actually mentioned in The Shawshank Redemption and plays into the actual story of The Shawshank Redemption pretty well, so to speak. So, yeah, great cast, awesome story. This is a movie I will typically watch at least once a year. This is the highest of S tier for this list for me.
So I watched this for the first time for this Marquee. This is one of those movies I was like, how much screen time does Henry Cavill actually get in this? If we're talking about movies that Henry Cavill is in, which all of these are, he's a fairly significant plot point in this movie. So I really enjoyed kind of going back and seeing him supposedly play the child of Guy Pearce. And I'm doing the math in my head watching this. I was like, how old is Henry Cavill? How old is Guy Pearce? How is that working? Because in my brain, they're not that far apart in age. When in reality, Guy Pearce is like 57 and Henry Cavill is like 41 or something like that. So there's a significant amount. There's about 16 years difference between them. So I guess it works a little bit. Movie itself, though, fantastic swashbuckling adventure. I was glued into it the entire time. Guy Pearce is the lead. No, Guy Pearce is one of the supporting. It's Jim Caviezel is the lead.
Is Jesus Christ.
Yep, Jim Caviezel was the lead of this one. Guys, make sure y'all are voting in that poll as well. I see we only got one vote so far. Let's go ahead and get a couple more votes in there. I know we got more than one person watching. So anyway, I really enjoyed this. I was super glued to it the entire time. Plus, I always dig a movie, especially if it's an adventure movie, that has a really solid soundtrack. And man, the music in this was amazing. The storyline's amazing. It's fun to watch the whole thing play out as a vengeance tale or a revenge tale. So this is pretty high up. It's not quite an S tier for me. There's a couple others on this list that passed it up for me personally, but this is the highest of my A's.
Yeah. I've noticed I like the movies that are specifically of like this time period, meaning like the 90s, 2000s, that are all based off of Alexandre Dumas novels. So I love this. I love the early 90s Disney Three Musketeers with Chris O'Donnell. Mm-hmm. That one was really good. And then also Leonardo DiCaprio's Man in the Iron Mask was really good also.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you said A, I said S. How is the chat looking?
I was hoping to get a couple more votes in here, but we got 3 votes in there right now. 4 votes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I think that's fairly a majority at this point. Make sure you guys are getting that vote in when the poll is up. We are putting the poll up for each movie, so that way your voice is heard through that poll. But right now, it looks like A is in the lead, so I'm going to end the poll right there at A.
All right, so that is going to go the highest of A spots. God, that was like my top of my S too. I don't know what else I'm going to stick up there. We'll see. I'm gonna bet that Count of Monte Cristo is gonna bump up here though, because I mean, spoilers. There's not a whole lot of what I feel like that is extremely good on this list. There's some really good, but not extremely good. Anyways, next movie. Did you want me to just start with all of these, or do you want to start with some while you're doing the poll? Or
that'd be great.
Okay. Well, have me start them all.
Yep.
Okay. Next one is 2006 Tristan and Isolde. This is pretty good. I mean, it's definitely like, if you're familiar with the story of Romeo and Juliet, this is basically another form of it with a couple of extra added layers to it. And I really like those layers. It can be a little slow, but I'm really surprised how good that added layer, basically this love triangle that happens in this movie, It's a really I don't know if I've seen a movie that does a love triangle to this extent, because this one, like, you feel bad for one of these characters who's having to make a very hard decision, and I was just enthralled by it, like absolutely amazed. Yeah, it's just so much fun. I really enjoyed this. I do have this as the lower of the two in B.
This is an interesting one. I don't know that we're really going to get a whole lot of audience participation on this one, because I think this is one of the movies that, of all the ones on the list, the audience is going to just kind of miss. I know we already have Nerd in the chat who, talked about how he kind of missed this one, which totally understand. It's another movie where, like, I was questioning, without having seen it, how prevalent, I can never say that word, how prevalent Henry Cavill is in this movie. And he's like Count of Monte Cristo. He's got a pretty decent sized role in this one.
But not really not till the end or towards the latter half of the movie.
Yeah, for the most part. I'm kind of bringing that up because there is one movie on this list where he is just barely in the movie at all whatsoever.
Yep.
But I will say this is actually a pretty solid story. I actually was not expecting a whole lot from this, but again, this is one that I was kind of tapped into and just kind of focused in on. Really loved the story and how it kind of everything kind of played out. I didn't know what to expect from one moment to the next in terms of what was going to happen with how the characters interact and how they're set up and everything. There's a lot of twists in terms of what are Tristan and Isolde going to do when Isolde is basically brought in to be his king's wife, essentially, and he has to debate whether he fully gives into his love to her, or he respects the throne, the king that he loves so much, who saved his life. A lot going on there. It's just so much, and it's very interesting to watch. I did tell my brother this. I like the movie. I do. I have it in the C tier, at the top of my C tier. And the reason I think this movie, even though I do like it, doesn't get higher is because I feel like James Franco just being in here just takes me out of it. Not because of anything James Franco has done.
Well,
no, not because of anything James Franco has done or who he is as a person, but because I just feel like, having seen so many other movies and stuff from him, that this just doesn't feel like a role that James Franco should be in, plus he spends a good chunk of the movie doing sad James Franco face, which, if you don't know what that is, you do. If you've seen a James Franco movie where sad at all at any point, you've seen sad James Franco face. And it just kind of takes me out. I really feel like if they casted almost anybody other than him in this movie, this movie would be so much higher on my list. And it's not that he really did a terrible job. It's just that for some reason in this particular role, in this particular movie, James Franco just took me out of it. And I don't know why, but it's at the top of C tier for me. Other than the James Franco of it all, I actually really enjoyed this movie and thought it was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So I got bottom of B. You said top of C. And how is the chat doing?
I'm going to go ahead and end on the one vote we have in the chat, just because I don't think anybody else in the chat right now has seen the movie, but we got to vote for B tier on it. So
okay, so
2 B's and a C.
We will call that bottom of B.
Yep. And I do apologize to the audience if my energy is just like super zonked. I've just been feeling it this past week. I mean, there's a reason why we didn't even do tagline this last Wednesday. I am just out of it, and I have a giant headache. So I am trying to enjoy myself with some talk about movies, but this is the kind of thing that happens sometimes.
Next movie on our list is 2007's Stardust. And this would be the one that Henry Cavill is barely even in this. He's in this for 3 scenes?
Literally 3 scenes. Exactly 3 scenes.
Yeah. So he has a very minor role, even though I would still say his role is kind of fun, but he's kind of I don't know. He's got a role where they're trying to play him as insignificant to the actual story, which I mean he actually is because he's only in three scenes, but
literally 3 scenes.
Otherwise, I feel like this was a first time watch for me. I feel like this was a great fairy tale. I kind of consider it in the same vein as The Princess Bride, and I know that might be sacrilegious because I don't know too many people who don't think that Princess Bride is an absolute perfect movie or an example of a perfect movie. It might not be your bag, your cup of tea, but you at least respect the movie and what it did. I feel like it's in the same vein, just not as funny, not quite as goofy, even though it has some moments to it. I very much loved the characters played by Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she did a phenomenal job in this. And Robert De Niro, which the image on the poster here does not give his character any credit at all. Like, you see Robert De Niro on this poster and you're thinking Robert De Niro. You watch this movie, you're no longer thinking Robert De Niro. So his character is just wild in this movie. And the other thing that I really liked about this was great seeing a young pre-Daredevil Charlie Cox in a lead role. I had no idea he was actually in this movie. So I have this as the top of my A tier.
Ooh. For me, this is another situation where I really enjoyed this movie, but I'm kind of rating it a little bit lower. And that's to say that there's really only one movie on this list that I absolutely just don't like. Another movie that I kind of just am all right with, but I'm not like super eager about. And the rest of the movies I either fairly enjoy or really enjoy. So this is one of those that I actually fairly enjoy, even though it's rated a little bit lower on the list. Yeah, everything you said, it's a great little adventure film. Does a lot of fun stuff. It sometimes I think there's moments where it does like too much, or it's trying to do too much, or there's too much happening at one time, and I'm kind of like trying to keep up with things. It doesn't happen that often, and it's really not that difficult to keep up with it. It's just there's moments where it's like, what storyline is happening? I think it was kind of like right at the beginning where we cut to the king and his sons all vying for the throne, and I'm like, am I still watching the same movie? Am I in the same? What I thought. Who are these guys? I thought Michelle Pfeiffer was like the main villain here, and kind of, but it's like mostly her and Mark Strong's character, and it was kind of back and forth between them. There's just a whole lot going on, and it's fun, but it sometimes can feel a little convoluted for me. As far as the Robert De Niro of it all, yes, Nerd put it exactly as I was saying. I was literally halfway into the scene with him when I tweeted as I was watching this movie, this is Robert De Niro's best role. This is a hands down Robert De Niro's best role. I've never seen something more fun from him than this movie. And it's crazy because this is one of those movies that kind of flies under the radar for a lot of people. So it's kind of an obscure one for it being Robert De Niro's best movie. But at the same time, like, I'd stand by that opinion. I do. He's a lot of fun in this. Overall, this is actually a fun little movie, and I definitely give it a recommendation. But all that being said, I do have it in my D tier, at the bottom of my D tier, just again because I like a lot of this list, and it's got to go somewhere. So, can we get one more vote in the chat to kind of break up the tie?
While we're waiting on that, some other funny things about this movie is this is yet another movie with Mark Strong in it where he's trying to be a king.
Yeah, between like this and Tristan and Isolde, he's always playing this grumpy guy who can never get a throne.
And then other comparisons, this movie Stardust, also the lead character in this, his name is also Tristan.
Yeah.
And he's also caught in somewhat of a love triangle. Not exactly the same way as Tristan and Isolde, but there is a bit of a triangle going on there for a moment. So, yeah, kind of funny the comparisons there. Wasn't there some other comparisons? I can't remember. Oh no, it was Count of Monte Cristo and Tristan and Isolde were both directed by Kevin Reynolds. So it was the same director on those, which is like there's a couple of actors that are in both of them, like Henry Cavill. So Stardust is Matthew Vaughn, which right now, because of Argylle and Stardust, I already had a love for like X-Men First Class. I think he did the first Kick-Ass and also at least the first 2 Kingsman movies. I'm really liking Matthew Vaughn lately. I think the only movie I've seen from him that just was that 3rd Kingsman movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think he's doing really good. So
chat's saying A tier as well for Stardust. So I am D tier. Chat's A tier. You were, I guess, A tier as well.
I had this top of A tier.
So AA and D. Add.
So is that bottom of A or top of B? What sounds about right?
I would think it's somewhere in B tier.
So I'll put it top of B.
Because the D brings it down a little bit.
It usually does. Next one, 2011's Immortals.
Oh God.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh God.
So while the premise seems interesting, the execution is just slow and dull. For I guess so people understand my position on this. I love the original Clash of the Titans, the old school one, not the Liam Neeson, Sam Worthington remake. So I like some of these movies that are based off of like these like Greek mythologies. This one's just so slow, and it also the stylized of it. It looks like it's trying to be 300. It looks like it's trying to be a cross between 300 and the remake of Clash of the Titans, which I'm going to be honest, no one should aspire to be the remake of Clash of the Titans. That's not a goal that was set. So 300 I can understand. 300 looks amazing. I like the stylization of that. More about Zack Snyder here in a little bit, but Immortals, it did not look good. It was extremely dark, which I haven't had a movie be that dark that's hard to see since Aliens versus Predator Requiem. That movie, if y'all are familiar with that movie is pitch black and not the Vin Diesel movie. It is actually dark and you can't see any details, which is a very hard R-rated Predator alien. There's a Pred alien in there that's just ripping people apart and you don't get to see anything because the screen's too damn black. So Immortals, just it had a good idea. The idea was there, just the execution. I guess I'm just not a fan of like Tarsem Singh's like vision of how his movie should look. So I have this as the bottom of my F tier. I was so happy when this movie was over.
I mean, I think it's pretty solid knowledge where this is going to go. If you guys want to go ahead and anyone want to vote into the poll from the chat, if not, I will probably just take our 2 votes as a chat vote as well. Looks like we've also got folks in the chat voicing their opinion on it just kind of being F tier basically. I'm going to make this short and easy for me. And for you guys, I've seen the movie.
Thanks, Deacon.
Yeah, short. Just put an F tier. I'm just gonna end the poll. Just put an F tier. I've seen the movie. I know I've watched the movie. I don't remember a damn thing from it. I don't remember liking it. Just F tier. I could have rewatched it for this, but I didn't want to because I knew I didn't like it from when I saw it before, and that's all I really need to know in order to properly tier rank a movie of its caliber. It's an F tier. It's at the very bottom. We all agree.
There's some movies that I want to give a benefit of the doubt, and I may have to rewatch it for a marquee. This wouldn't be one of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2013, Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
So this was Zack Snyder and our first entry into the cinematic universe formerly known as the DCEU. Rest in peace. But this, honestly, I think this was a good Superman story. Henry Cavill is easily my second favorite live action Superman after Christopher Reeve, if you don't include Tom Welling's Clark Kent from Smallville, because he technically really wasn't Superman, but I mean, he looked good. He would have been a great Superman as well had they gone that far with it. But
I don't count it enough because all we got of his actual Superman was just and that's not enough.
No. I think it was a good job, like kind of retelling the origin. The pacing was just there's a problem with me, at least, with the pacing of this movie. Because every time I watch this movie, I almost fall asleep in the middle of it, and I don't know what it is.
Help solve a little bit of your question there. It's a problem with the pacing of Zack Snyder movies. Zack Snyder does not know pacing. I have not watched a single Zack Snyder movie ever that I thought was paced perfectly.
Okay. I can kind of agree. I was about to bring up his Dawn of the Dead remake, which I know you haven't seen, but like I don't think it was slow paced, but there is a part in the middle there where it does, like, the whole action screeches to a halt, and we're just watching the survivors living in this mall while it plays like the jazz house version of Disturbed's Down with the Sickness. And everyone's just living their lives in the mall before all the zombies come back and all hell breaks loose.
I mean, literally think about every single Zack Snyder movie you've seen. Let's even talk about another Zack Snyder movie that's going to pop up on this list here in a minute. The Justice League stuff. That movie was, gosh damn, 4 hours long. His version.
I will go ahead. Well, okay. Maybe I won't go ahead and say this, but
it could have been shorter. But we'll get to that one here in a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it has pacing issues. I'm also really tired of Zod, General Zod, as the villain. And I mean, I know we really, for the most part, we only got Zod in the movies as far as Superman 1 and primarily Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve. But then you also have to take into account there was a whole lot of Zod in Smallville. There were like 2 different versions of General Zod in Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got General Zod again in Man of Steel. I'm really tired of Zod and Lex Luthor.
Yeah, but it was Michael Shannon who did such a fantastic job.
That's my only positive about Zod is Michael Shannon did a really good job.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even trying to compare him to Terrence Stamp's General Zod. I think both of them did a really good job with their takes on General Zod. So that being said, I have this as in the A tier. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Superman stories go, I thought it was really good too. I mean, again, like we said, we have some pacing issues from Zack Snyder. Listen, we just saw Rebel Moon, pure example of pacing issues, as well as many other issues.
Watch Man of Steel all day compared to that movie.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. And then there's so, I mean, Watchmen has pacing issues. Just every movie I've seen from Zack Snyder has pacing issues, but this particular one, at the very least, I will say this: if we're talking about Henry Cavill casting in this, I'm so sad that WB literally squandered everything that they had or everything they could have had with the DCEU, because Henry Cavill was pitch perfect casting as Superman. The man looks like Superman. The man, as the DCEU went on, grew more and more into the role of who I thought Superman should be on screen. He was absolutely perfect for that role. And I'm so sad that they just completely botched every other aspect of the DCEU and ruined all of that. For
Same
me,
with Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I mean, Gal was great as Wonder Woman too. I think Henry Cavill was more perfect as Superman than Gal was as Wonder Woman, but
yeah.
He just shines as Superman in this movie. This is, as it stands right now, probably my favorite Superman movie. I probably could go back and watch the Christopher Reeve movies again, but I don't have like a nostalgic love for them necessarily, as a lot of people do. So while I'm eagerly looking forward to the new one that James Gunn's doing, this one is actually pretty high for me in the A tier. So,
that being said, I feel like you need to at least go watch Superman 4: Quest for Peace, because that's just spectacular. Really bad.
Chat is split between S, B, and C through F. I think I know who the C through F is, right? Yeah, Nerd said D, so I'm just going to take Nerd's D as the C through F vote, so I don't have to do a runoff there. So we got S. We got another vote for S. Someone last minute got in for S tier, so S from chat, A from me, A from you. Sa, dude.
So we'll go ahead and put that. I'm going to put it behind Count of Monte Cristo.
I think technically math-wise, it should go in front of Count of Monte Cristo, right?
So I had Monte Cristo in S. You had it in A. What did the
chat had Monte Cristo in A?
And so you.
Oh, is it the same? It's the same thing then, right? SAA. Yeah. Okay, so then it goes wherever in the A tier.
All right. It's going to be some fun. Next one, 2015's The Man from UNCLE.
Oh, hold on. This is going to take me a minute to type out.
Just skip the periods. We all know it.
I guess I could do that. I'm just going to capitalize the whole word.
The Man from Uncle.
There is a correct answer here, chat. I want y'all to know there is a correct answer. And I also want you to know that my brother does not have the correct answer. Right. Proceed.
It's S tier. This is a phenomenal movie.
Proceed.
I'm not a Guy Ritchie fan. Like, in all honesty, I'm not sure what it is about his movies. I have not been able to pinpoint what it is. Most all of his movies have just been, they're fine, but I don't see anything spectacular about them. Probably my favorites of his are Aladdin and the first Sherlock Holmes movie. But both of those are they're okay.
She doesn't sing a lot because you didn't like Aladdin.
Yeah, well, like, I know the reasons why I didn't like Aladdin, and I've said it before. It felt more like a stage production than it did a film, and I don't like the additions that they added to it, giving Jasmine that song. That was just weird. It threw off, like, the pacing, the story. Part of that is because we're already used to that story from the animated movie back in 92. So watching a live action remake and adding stuff to it like that just kind of disrupts your natural emotions watching that movie, which is weird because I wouldn't say the same thing about the Beauty and the Beast remake that also had some additions put in. But
hey, real quick, you see how Uncle's an acronym?
Yeah.
I got another one for you. ADHD. Get back on track.
I am getting back on track until you told me about how Uncle is an acronym. It was the very next thing I was going to say. But yeah, like, both Sherlock Holmes and Aladdin are just kind of meh for me. This didn't hold my attention. It didn't really make me care about the characters. And again, as I was saying before, hopefully the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare changes that for me, because that trailer looks like a whole lot of fun. It looks like it's in the vein of some like crazy, like Inglourious Basterds zaniness. So, that being said, there are two movies that I would say are lower in my opinion than this. One of them being Immortals. There is one other. So I'm going to put Man from Uncle in D tier, but it's at the bottom of my D tier.
This is one of my favorite movies. I enjoy the hell out of this movie. It's so much fun. Just like the interaction between, first of all, the smarmy character that Henry Cavill plays in this movie, he is a ton of fun. He's just playing the old, what was it, like, I guess 60s is the time period, like the old 60s shtick, spy shtick. I love it. He's playing it up and hamming through it so much, and it's so great. Speaking of hamming, Hammer. Yeah, Army Hammer. I was just letting that one sink in for a minute for everybody. He is actually surprisingly great as a Russian spy, and you can tell that he's having a lot of fun in this role as well. I'm not going to talk about Armie Hammer too much. And then,
he
of
just
course,
chews scenery in this movie.
Oh my god, it's not the only thing he chews.
Amongst other things.
Yeah. Alicia Vikander is also a lot of fun in this movie, and as Nerd points out in the chat, Elizabeth Debicki as well is having such a great time as the villainess of the film. I know what your problem is with Guy Ritchie, and like Zack Snyder has pacing issues. For you specifically, this is not actually everybody's issue. I think Zack Snyder does overall have pacing issues, but I think for you specifically, Guy Ritchie has dialogue issues. You don't necessarily like the way the dialogue is written and how it's conveyed.
I would say that's for his movies because I like Tarantino movies generally, and they're also very dialogue heavy.
It's not even about it being heavy. It's how the dialogue is spoken, and I don't know better ways to put it. Portrayed, essentially.
How it conveys the emotions, the meaning, how it progresses the story.
That being said, I love it. I think the dialogue is super intelligent. I think most of Guy Ritchie's films, the dialogue is actually pretty intelligent. And I think in this particular one, it's just a lot of fun. Just this playground of smarmy 60s spy, pulp spy kind of playground thing that he gets to play. And yeah, that's it. The cadence of Ritchie's dialogue. Yeah. Kind of how it comes across. Me, this is the easily the top of my entire list. This is top of S tier for me. And I'm going to be very sad that your D tier brings it down below that. But we do have 2 votes in the chat right now for S tier as well. So
if it goes S tier, it goes S tier.
You're unfortunately your D vote brings it out of S tier.
You know what, though? I still get to go to bed later tonight and sleep the memory of this away. So, although it does live in infamy on YouTube. So,
hey, I'll be a jackass.
I'm not. I'm just being realistic.
I'll be a jackass. It's one of my favorite movies. Get out of here. Yeah, this is like one of Henry Cavill's just best roles as well. He literally was just having so much fun with it.
You know, for a while there, I would say I was getting this movie confused with The Nice Guys. And I think The Nice Guys is probably my preferred of the two.
What year was this again?
This was 2015.
That's why you're getting confused with Nice Guys, because it's like right around the same time. I think Nice Guys was 16, I believe.
So we're in like another like Armageddon and Dante's Peak, or not Dante's Peak and Volcano, Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Sort of, but the only difference is that there really isn't a whole lot of like crossover between how the movies are. I think Nice Guys was like the 70s, I think it was, and this is the 60s. So there's at least like a whole decade between when those films take place.
But it's a decade that neither one of us were alive during.
It all blends together because it's all old people stuff.
Yeah.
That's offensive. Yeah. I mean, it's just fun, slightly comedic action, mystery kind of stuff with a fun duo.
Yeah. What does the chat say?
We got 2 votes for chat on the S tier. So like I said, SS and your D. So
S, and D. Well, yeah,
S
and D.
I mean, we can vote the 2 votes in the chat as 2 different S's, so we can have S, and D. But you know,
I don't think that really adds too much more as far as averages go.
Also, we haven't been doing that already, so it's probably a little late to start that now. But
so S, and D. So if it was an S and a D, that would put it at B. I'm going to probably say that this should go at the bottom of A, which means it's either bumping Count of Monte Cristo up or it's knocking Man of Steel down.
I would be okay to bump Monte Cristo up if this has to go in A tier, because at least Monte Cristo is just a super solid movie. Not that Man of Steel isn't, but I'm just saying I feel better with Monte Cristo being back up in S tier than I would Man of Steel being in S tier over both Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Monte Cristo.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you leverage a movie you don't like to get a result that you do.
I mean, that's fair.
Not that I was planning that, but I mean, it just happened to work out wonderfully.
It's fair. I would literally throw a giant stink if Man from U.N.C.L.E. was anything less than the A tier.
I can. Here's the thing: Man from U.N.C.L.E. is not a movie that I hate. It will be a movie I would probably give it another shot later. There's a couple of other Guy Ritchie. I kind of want to go back to some of Guy Ritchie's earlier movies, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch. I want to go back and watch those, and because I think those have potential for me to actually like them. And then if I develop a like, then this would be another movie I would want to come back to as well.
It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. I recently watched, I think The Real Rejects over on their YouTube channel did a first time watch along to Man from U.N.C.L.E. And I was just watching Greg Alba just have so much fun with it. And I'm like, yay, this makes me happy.
Real quick, we are halfway through the list, so we are making some great time tonight. So slight pause for the cause. If you're watching, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. We are on a very good upswing right now as far as trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We are a nice amount over 2,000 where we ended last year at. So please subscribe if you haven't done that already. Again, let us know your comments if you're watching on a replay. And very much, again, appreciate everyone who is here. And again, any questions, comments, issues, complaints, Streamlabs, join the Patreon, feed your fish, water the plants,
Brush your teeth, look both ways before crossing the street.
Please help control the pet population, spay and neuter your pets.
All right, Bob Barker.
Next movie. And cannot wait to talk about this one. That would be Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. First thing, before I even talk about this movie, I absolutely hate the fact, and I mean, someone feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but last I checked, when you use the V as just a V instead of saying versus or the VS as versus, just the V by itself is only used in court cases. Like the state of Texas versus Robert Adams, which sadly I've seen that a couple of times. But typically that's only in court cases. So calling this Batman v Superman, this isn't a court case. That's actually them fighting. It should be versus. That's me nitpicking though. What I'm not going to nitpick about is this movie had so much going for it. Especially when the first thing we got was like at a Comic-Con, and I forgot who read it. I want to say it was like Lance Riddick or was it the Allstate? No, it was the Allstate guy.
It was Harry Lennox.
Or Harry Lennox. Yeah. Okay. Reading a passage from The Dark Knight Returns. And that one just set like you heard the room just lit up. Everyone was so excited. They had such a good trajectory that they could have gone with this. And they completely messed it up. I feel like this movie is a lot like X-Men The Last Stand, where, say, X-Men The Last Stand was trying to set up a Dark Phoenix story. It was trying to set up The Cure. It was trying to just put a cap on, like, the previous X-Men movies for the trilogy. It was just doing a lot. This movie in particular, hinting at the Justice League, introducing Lex Luthor and Wonder Woman, and then throwing in a half-assed Doomsday so we could also rope in the Death of Superman storyline, which is, again, one of DC Comics' best-selling storylines from the early 90s. All of that put in here while still hitting that Dark Knight Returns, at least the fight between Batman and Superman from the Dark Knight Returns story. That's just a lot to cram into this movie. Just way too much. I think it would have been better had they not done so much with, like, Doomsday should be its own. Doomsday and the Death of Superman needs to have been its own movie, in all honesty. I would probably be okay with the introduction of Wonder Woman and the tease of some of the Justice League, but we just needed more room to grow that. And then also, I know we're all thinking about it. It's something that always gets brought up. The whole Martha bit, just that was so dumb. That was just purely bad writing. That was definitely someone looked at it and go, "Hey, your mom's name's Martha? My mom's Martha." I feel like I just recently did that reacting to Idiocracy, and if y'all have seen that movie, there's a part in it where like Dax Shepard's character is like, "Hey, you like money? I like money. We should be friends. We should hang out." Like it sounded like that kind of a dialogue. So,
yeah, I mean,
by the way, I have this F tier if it wasn't obvious.
This movie has some interesting things about it. I actually do like Ben Affleck as Batman. I think he played a nice, like, older, grizzled Batman who's been at it for a while. It's not the Batman I wanted before the Justice League formed. I wanted the younger man Batman for around the time of the Justice League. Somebody who's like, early 30s at least for Justice League time. And I think, like you were saying, this movie did about 3 or 4 movies worth of different storylines packed into one. And then you couple that with the fact that, again, Zack Snyder's got pacing issues and just some miscasts. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was not good. I don't know what they had in the DCEU against doing the main arch enemies of these characters justice and doing them as they should. But Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor and Jared Leto's Joker were not what they're just complete misfires.
Ares and Wonder Woman. I think Aquaman was okay.
Aquaman was fine. Aquaman is, I think, consistently one of the best aspects of the entire DCEU, which is funny.
Which is weird.
But
it's a fish guy.
Yeah. As a whole, I think this movie is way more missed than it is hit. The things that worked were fine, but the things that didn't work way overshadow what did. And I know what they were trying to do with the Martha bit. They're just trying to like humanize them and find some relatability between them, but it just felt kind of forced a little bit. And there's just so much. I think so much of the movie just kind of felt forced. Like, hey, we need a prequel to Justice League. So, and then there was the whole thing, like when it was being made, is this a Man of Steel sequel? It should have been. It should have been a Man of Steel sequel instead of a Justice League prequel. But again, WB did not know what they were doing with any of this. So this is, I have the one movie in the F tier that I absolutely dislike, and that was Immortals. I had the other movie in the F tier that I'm fine with. I'll probably watch it again at some point, but actually maybe not if they're redoing the whole freaking DC universe. Might never revisit this movie, to be honest.
Yeah. It's the problem with the DCEU.
Yeah. But either way, it's fine. It's not great, and it goes in the F tier for me as well on this particular list. So,
all right, chat. Let's make it easy. Everyone says F, right?
For the most part. I mean, I think the first vote in here was an A tier vote, and I was like, someone's got to be trolling, and then Nerd was like, nope, I did it by accident. It's absolutely F. Yeah, we got lead votes on C through F right now. I don't really see anybody in the chat saying anything else, so I don't even think I'm gonna again do a runoff poll on this. I think we are all just pretty on the same page of this being an F.
I am okay with that.
Specifically with this list too. I mean, there may be a world where this movie is a C tier or a D tier on some other lists of some sort. Maybe like in the DC EU tier ranking. I don't even know. It might still be an F tier in that, but
I am putting it up above Immortals mainly because when Wonder Woman comes in and it hits with her theme song, that goes hard. Like, I love her theme song.
Yeah. At the very least,
I've never rocked out to a cello so much in my entire life.
I don't have the actual list in order pulled up. I've just been kind of guessing which one comes up as they've been coming up. So this is the one point where year-wise, I actually don't know which one is next.
So next one is 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, because we're counting Justice League as later since it's the Zack Snyder version.
Yes. So, yeah, and that was the other thing is we're only tier ranking the Zack Snyder's Justice League, not the previously 2017, I believe, Justice League.
Yeah.
So, because essentially I don't want to talk about the same movie twice, even though they are like different enough. Whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it at 12. So Mission Impossible Fallout. This movie is roughly around the area where the Mission Impossible movies are starting to fall off for me. I love Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation. I thought were really good. All the other, like the previous Mission Impossible movies, I thought were all good. I even liked the second one, which I understand the second one was probably one of the weakest, but I still found it entertaining. Now with Fallout and even more with Dead Reckoning, we're just getting too convoluted with all this. It's too out there, and they don't have a nice, like, simple, easy to follow. Like, was it Dead Reckoning? We spent the whole time trying to find 2 keys before we even get to the actual life-threatening danger that's the next movie. Fallout, I think, was great. I think, like, the second half to it had a bit of a pacing issue that I didn't like so much. And then, of course, there's the whole Henry Cavill of it at all, which couldn't see that one coming at all. Not when the trailer was him loading his guns there. But yeah, it's okay. I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it again and again, but I have this at the bottom of my C tier.
See, I guess I just liked the Mission Impossible franchise more than I thought before, because this one's rated pretty dang high for me. Even if we didn't all see the twist of who Henry Cavill was coming from the trailer or anything, especially because like it's a weird scene that we're like, oh yeah, it looks like he's fighting Tom Cruise in the bathroom when they were teamed up fighting another guy.
Mm-hmm. That's a great scene, though, by the way. Like,
Great
I joke
scene.
about the cock arm Cavill as nerds putting it in the chat. That was still a really good fight scene.
Yeah, but like we joke about it, but at the same time, if he stood up in front of me and did that, I'd be like, nope, no, you win. Don't touch me. You win. I'm done. You don't that was enough. You flexed enough for me there.
Can I get you a Chardonnay? Please don't hit me.
I will please don't eat me.
You're
not Army Hammer, that's right. Anyway, so this particular one, I actually really enjoyed Fallout. All the Mission Impossible movies sometimes kind of blend together for me. There is a degree in which I can't tell you what specific plot points happened in each individual one. Like Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, this one, there's a lot that happens between them, and I can't quite tell you what scene belongs to which one of the 3. Except that this one right here, I do remember, I believe, had the return of Michelle Monaghan in it.
Yeah.
And that was a very impactful returning character for the franchise, and what she meant to Ethan Hunt, and what happened with her character, and all of that, all the goings on from that point forward. And I remember, because of that scene, because of those moments, this movie stands out more to me than some of the other recent Mission Impossible movies. I loved the Tom Cruise versus Henry Cavill. Oh, spoilers. I loved kind of the setup there and the twist, even if we did see it coming. I kind of loved all of that and everything this movie was trying to do. So for me, this is a good example of a great action blockbuster that does not fall into the superhero genre. Even though I think at this point we could probably all call Ethan Hunt a superhero. Let's be honest. I think he
Tom Cruise in general.
Probably. Ethan Hunt feels like one of those characters who, like Jason Bourne and John Wick, they're all kind of superheroes. They're all just a little bit of superhero. They got a little bit of that nature in them. But either way, this for me, solid S tier. This is S tier for me. So I had this right up there with Man from U.N.C.L.E.
So I said C, you said S. How's the chat looking?
Chat's got 3 votes for S.
Okay.
Me and Chat are on the same page, it seems.
Yeah. I understand. Again, most of mine is, I always like signifying that it's not necessarily that I think it's a bad movie. It's very likely just I have a hard time connecting or following with it or something like that.
No, we all get it. You just have terrible taste in movies. That's fine.
Thanks. Way to support my point all 100%.
Listen, it's absolutely your taste.
Okay, so we've got S tier, and C tier.
Yep.
So, I mean, that would be another thing where it would be brought down to like the top of A. Do you want to put this, basically put this where Man of Steel is? Do we want to bump everything down, or do we want to move Man of Steel up?
No, I want Man from U.N.C.L.E. or Fallout to be an S tier. I don't care how the math on that works. Both of those deserve to be over Man of Steel.
I'm more okay. I'll give it to Fallout.
This is where we get to make decisions on our own beyond where the math dictates.
I will put Fallout because I had Man from U.N.C.L.E. in D tier. Was originally wanted to put it F, but I will let Fallout go S tier.
Yeah, no one voted for Man of Steel ahead of Fallout except for Robert. Yeah.
No. Anyways, next one. 2020's Enola Holmes. Released direct to Netflix because apparently there was some kind of weird, funky crisis going on in the world and they couldn't release it in the theaters.
Gee, I wonder what that was.
Yeah.
I
thought this movie was actually fun. When I first heard about it and saw it, I was like, oh, we're just trying to make Millie Bobby Brown popular again. Which, is it just me, or does it seem like everything that she's in, she's basically just trying to go look for her mom? Like, between Stranger Things and Enola Holmes, she's just searching for her mom the entire time.
What was she doing in Godzilla? Whatever Godzilla movie it was that she was in.
She was probably trying to find her mom. I can't remember, but I'm willing to bet money it was probably look for her mom.
It was
like Godzilla right? Kidnapped her mom or something. I don't know.
I actually think there's a chance that might have been the plot in King of the Monsters.
That her mom was missing, and so she was trying to unlock the secrets of where her mom went by trying to solve the...
I knew there was something with her mom involved.
Yeah, she always has there's always some kind of a conflict that involves her mom in everything she's in.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. But yeah, I thought I didn't care about it when I first heard about it, but now watching it for this, I had a really good time with it. In fact, I immediately watched the second one right after I finished this one. And spoilers for my opinion on the second one, I'm all for a third one. Give me a third Enola Holmes. I want it.
Same.
Yeah, and I love Henry Cavill as Sherlock. He does a great Sherlock Holmes.
He's so good. He plays stoic and reserved but intelligent. He plays that very well. He kind of did that with Man from U.N.C.L.E. too. It's kind of along the same lines, even though again, he was a little bit more smarmy in U.N.C.L.E.
I actually kind of want to see a standalone Henry Cavill Sherlock movie now.
They could spin that off. They really could if they wanted to. I don't know if they would, because I don't know where we stand on doing a Sherlock Holmes 3 with Robert Downey Jr., but I think they could.
Yeah. I liked Enola Holmes. I do have this at the top of C, but it's just because I enjoyed say Tristan Isolde, Stardust. I enjoyed those more than Enola Holmes, but I did enjoy Enola Holmes.
Yeah. We're kind of in the same boat, sort of. I put it in D tier. That is to say, and I really like. I feel like we almost needed to do both of them back to back because I can't really talk about this one without sharing my feelings about the second one as well, which I have much higher. I thought this one was fine. I thought it was cute. I thought it was fun. It's not my favorite of the two. I have the second one definitely higher, but it's a D tier on this particular list. It's a D tier for me. I really don't know what else to say. You know, it was a great first outing for doing something different with the Holmes franchise. It sounds so weird to say the Holmes franchise, the Holmes property. So I enjoyed it. Good little story, fun little mystery, but it's definitely not my favorite of the two, and it's absolutely not my favorite movie on the list. I just like it. I like other things more than it on this list, so I feel like I'm like really trying to explain myself here. It's D tier for me, but it's the top of D tier. If that helps, it's my top of D tier.
What's the chat say?
We got a couple votes for the B tier right now.
For B?
Yeah. So BCD. So C.
So we'll just call it C.
Yeah, I know, nerd, but sometimes, things happen, I guess.
I was going to say, I'm still going to be positive about it. I can't wait for a third one, but...
Isn't Enola Holmes playing at the Taylor Bowl on Sunday? The Taylor Bowl. No! Oh my gosh. Let me end this poll. Sorry.
I feel kind of like torn. So I did shoot my my next reaction video for my channel today, and I should have called it. It is about the big game, and I should have referred to it as the Taylor Bowl.
Just try to upset people.
Anyways, next one. We've already talked about this briefly. Zack Snyder's Justice League. So this one, okay.
For the simplicity's sake, let's also remind people this is not the original 2017 Joss Whedon cut, and this is not the, as awkwardly pictured here, the black and white version. This is just straight up the 4-hour Zack Snyder Justice League that they teased on whatever social media network Zack Snyder backs. I think it's Vero or whatever. And then they eventually gave us. So that's the one we're doing.
So I'm going to just basically read off exactly what I typed up because I feel like I can't word it any better than I did when typing it up. In all honesty, I'm still not a fan of either Justice League movie, but while the original seemed to be copying a bit of the formula from Avengers and doing a paint-by-numbers team movie, this one opens up the world up a bit without staying there, giving a proper tease to how the movies could have gone. I feel this did the Justice League right while still nodding to a future like Justice League Unlimited type of world. I'll watch this one over the original any day, even though it is 4 hours long. I did think this did a better job of like the Justice League in a world that's not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They did something enough different with this one to give its existence. To let it have its existence.
I think ultimately my issue with Justice League in general, and yeah, we are going to go back to the 2017 real quick, is that they just sped ran the entire DCEU to get to Justice League way faster and way sooner than they should have. They wanted their Avengers flick, but they didn't want to take the time to cook it right. They just wanted a microwave TV dinner Avengers team up movie, but they didn't want to use fresh ingredients and take the time to cook it correctly. So that is what you got. Now, all that being said, if we have to have a version of that movie that dives more into the characters, shows more off of the world, and does a lot more interesting things, the full-on Zack Snyder cut is the more superior version of this movie. the unfortunate circumstances of what happened with the original cut and why they brought in Whedon aside, this particular one, the vision that Zack Snyder did have for this was the superior vision. And it's one of the few times in history that I will ever feel like the hashtag train to get it made was actually surprisingly correct. Now, I say that with trepidation because anything else that train did after this movie can sit down and shut up. This particular film is where that train should have stopped. It was good. Now, the downside to this is that it was still too long. I think while it was a lot better that it had more length to it than the 2017 version, I think that they should have still chopped off about 30, maybe 40 minutes of this movie and gotten a much shorter but still more refined vision for what this film should have been. So that all that being said, while I do prefer this one like you did to the 2017 version, it also is it's also, not very high on my list. I'd say not very high, but it's B tier for me. It's very middle of the road.
So this is gonna sound weird, but I was kind of giving this one a pity S tier. Just because I do think, again, yeah, I know. The logic of that is thinking back to Avengers, which kind of like what you were saying. Obviously, they were wanting the same kind of success that they're wanting the same kind of success that Marvel had with Avengers, but like you were saying, they rushed to it. This one I like because they did set up that larger world, very much keeping in mind that we've already had a very successful Justice League cartoon, and then it morphed into that Justice League Unlimited, where they did open up the Justice League to the larger DC world. While I don't see the need for Marvel to have done that, even though Avengers usually does also have a ginormous roster like the Justice League, I was okay with Avengers keeping it to like the 6 members it had. I very much like the fact that Justice League was opening the world up to the other possibilities of heroes in the DCEU that could eventually join in. Namely, like, best example is like that little nod to the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, that part was fun.
I like all of that. The stuff they did with Darkseid in this movie, I feel like was way better than what they were originally doing in the 2017 Justice League. I think they nailed some of this stuff that they should have done to begin with a lot better, and it made it more like the comics and what I was expecting from the Justice League.
And Martian Manhunter.
And Martian Manhunter.
I was trying to slip that in while you were talking about the characters.
Yeah. It's because of that they went in and fixed the things that I personally would have liked to have seen when they released the first Justice League movie. They fixed those. That bumps it up for me. Honestly, if it was any other kind of list, would I put it S tier? Probably not. But that's why I'm going to say, like, just for my own personal connection to just that primary idea, that's the only reason I'm giving it an S tier. But I am 100% okay if it doesn't wind up there. In fact, I'm almost certain it's not going to, and I'm okay with that.
So
I will not fight anything in regards to where this movie is going to actually end up landing.
You're saying S. I'm saying, what I say, B? Yeah, I'm saying bottom of B tier.
My S. That's fine.
Chat is we got a vote in S, vote in A, and a vote in C through F, which I believe again is Nerd who's saying D in the chat there. So chat is saying sad. This movie's sad. So SAD. I would say that's what, B? That would be a B tier then if we were to round that together.
Yeah.
It's no one particular letter is beating out the other. So if you round it up, that would be like a B tier. I'm B. You said S.
Do we want to put it so B tier? Which one in the B tier needs to move, and which direction is it moving? Well, I guess everything has to go down. So, are we moving just Tristan and Isolde or Stardust also? I kind of like, in all honesty, I probably enjoyed Stardust a little bit more than this Justice League, just because it is 4 hours long.
I had both Stardust and Tristan Isolde under Justice League.
We could put it where Stardust is and bump Tristan and Isolde down to C.
Yeah, I think that's the route to go. But also, I'm gonna have another one that shifts in there in just a second too. Which we only have 2 movies left.
Mm-hmm. Won't call it audible and just stick Tristan and Isolde under Enola Holmes, because now after we've talked about Enola Holmes, I kind of feel like I enjoyed it more than I did Tristan and Isolde.
It's hard to say for me because I could very easily go back again when they make it an Enola Holmes 3. Go back again and watch the first 2 again and actually love the first one even more than I did the first time around.
I think Tristan Isolde behind Enola Holmes sounds about right.
I think I'll go with that.
Well, let's see how everything continues to shift. So speaking of Enola Holmes, let's do Enola Holmes 2.
Yeah.
2022. I feel like I felt like this movie was just as fun as the first one. The only difference here is I feel like the mystery was a little more convoluted. There was a little more to the mystery, and it wasn't just a straightforward, like the first movie was a straightforward, she's looking for her mom, and then she has to go save what's-his-face. This one, there was a lot more to it. There was more meat on the bones as far as what the mystery is and who's behind it and what's going on. There was a whole lot of people that were involved, plenty of suspects all over the place. So there was just a lot more to that. I also like the fact that the mystery of this movie is actually built around a true story. They took something that actually did happen in real life and put it into a fictional world. And I love the way that they made that connect. I think it was done beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really cool moment. I think that was actually like that was the goosebumps moment of the whole movie.
Yeah. That was one of those, like, I immediately got on like Wikipedia and read about the original, like the actual history that was in this. I was like, that's cool. The fact that they actually played that very much like the actual true story also.
Yeah. There was so much for me to love about this. I think this movie was a lot more fun than the first one. If I'm being honest, like this movie had more for me to enjoy and love than I say the first one did. I love the inclusion of Moriarty here. I love the inclusion of like deepening the Sherlock lore and how it relates to this particular version of Sherlock and world that we've kind of set up. I think, you see a lot more from Millie Bobby Brown kind of coming into her own a little bit more in this role than she did in the first one. And that's just, I think you can just tell that she just really enjoys playing this character and kind of doing more with it. And the second one was really meaningful to her, especially given the true story nature of what they were kind of exploring. I think seems like something that she was like really passionate about too as well. I actually really enjoyed this one, and because of this movie, I really want to see a third Enola Holmes. And I really want to see them just go full deep into the Sherlock lore with it. And so far, they're pointing in that right direction. I mean, obviously, we know that Watson is coming at some point. Probably in the third one, for sure.
I mean, that's elementary that he would be coming.
Yeah, and that line's got to be said too. It's elementary, my dear Watson. All that being said, like again, Henry Cavill in Sherlock.
A douchebag line, come to think of it.
Yeah.
How do you know this, Holmes? It's elementary. It's elementary grade knowledge. You're a dumbass, Watson.
It's simple, you dunce. It's easy to figure out, you dunce.
Such a douchebag comment.
Sherlock with that superiority complex over Dr. Watson. Anyway, this is a top of B tier for me. I had this over Justice League, so it was.
I actually had this in D. I actually had this lower than the original just because the mystery did get a little more convoluted. It was harder to follow exactly what was going on.
God,
So
Henry Cavill and his movies are just breaking this entire household apart.
You had it in B?
Yeah, it'd be. Yeah, I love this way more than the first one.
What is the chat saying?
Chat is nerds vote in C tier.
Sounds like it's going to C.
That hurts me. Not as much as The Man from U.N.C.L.E. being anything less than S, but whatever.
All right, so C tier it sounds like.
Can this one go over the first one in C tier?
Well, so then we're definitely bumping Tristan and Isolde down.
Yeah, that's fine. Although I say that, but we'll see here in a second where this last movie lands, because this last movie is going to shift some things around too.
Yes, it is, because it's going to go much higher. In fact, you know what? I'll just go ahead and preemptively put Tristan and Isolde at the bottom of D. Because that's where it's going to go.
I don't know why I have Tristan and Isolde actually above the last movie on this list, but I don't know how it's all going to work out math-wise.
Oh, yeah, I had Tristan and Isolde directly under. So Enola Holmes 2, we're going to stick at the bottom of C. So right next to the previous Enola Holmes. All right, last movie. Man, we flew through this. That would be this year's Argylle.
Argylle. I got to
which, in all honesty, I don't want to do like no real spoilers on this one. The one thing I will say is this is another movie where Henry Cavill just really is not in it that much. Like almost everything, every scene that he is in was in the trailer for the most part. There's a few like little things here and there, but for the most part.
And it's hilarious because he's front and center on this image. Literally.
He's front and center. He gets the top billing. And he's not actually the main star of this movie.
No. But that being said, without spoiling, there's a lot that they can do with him in this particular franchise in the future.
Yeah. This was just a fun movie. And again, as I said in the review, I feel like this movie will get way better with rewatches. Now that you've already sat through and got through all these spy, double spy, whatever,
triple spy,
it's going to be a lot more fun to watch this movie and look for like the little things little breadcrumbs that they had dropped the entire time for this. And like this is one of those movies that I feel like is like almost like a Marvel movie with me. Almost every Marvel movie that comes out, I can't wait till it's available to watch at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually right there. I will get the movie as soon as it's available for like digital purchase. I will get that movie as soon as it comes out and rewatch it again. This will probably be one of the first movies outside of Marvel that's going to make me want to do that as well, because I can't wait to rewatch it.
Which you probably shouldn't have to wait too long since this was an Apple-produced movie. So it's probably going to hit Apple Plus very quickly.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. It has an amazing cast.
Super solid cast.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because there's a lot of members of this cast that I actually wanted to see more of, and just based on how the story is, the fact that the focus is actually Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell throughout pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah.
You don't get to see a lot of certain individuals in this cast shine, and hopefully we get to see more of them shine in the future.
just that one shot from the trailer of John Cena picking up Dua Lipa off of the motorcycle was hilarious.
Yes. Also, this movie made me a huge fan of Dua Lipa. For reasons.
Argylle did what Fast and the Furious could not.
Was she in Fast and Furious?
Was she in Fast and Furious? Or am I? No, I think I'm getting her confused with, was it Rita Ora?
Yeah. I guess. She was in Barbie, though. She was the mermaid. Anyway, yeah, her and John Cena were mermaids in Barbie, which is funny.
Yeah.
This particular movie, I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun. Pretty much every aspect of this movie, I thought was a blast. There are some moments where I think they kind of dragged on a little bit too long with some of the back and forthness of it. And I do think that there is a world where like 15 or so minutes of this movie could have probably been trimmed down a little bit, kind of slimmed down a little bit on some stuff just to kind of progress the story at a better pace. And then of course the post-credit scene, which I will not get into, kind of shot the entire movie in the foot for me. If you know me and you know my opinions of things, that's about as deep as I can get to without spoiling anything. You'll know why. You'll understand why. But overall, the movie by itself in a bubble, I thought was a lot of fun. And if we stick around in the Argylle verse, so to speak, I think there could be a lot of fun to be had here. So for me, where did I have it? I had it as a B, C tier, C tier.
I had it at the top of B.
So we got
bottom of B, top of C. What does the chat say?
We got 2 votes in the chat right now. We got a B and a C through F. So it could be anywhere, I think, in that realm. So if we get one more vote, guys, that would be really helpful. If we get one more vote in the chat there, and we can all right, we can okay, so yeah, we got, looks like B tier.
So B?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to knock Enola Holmes down to D.
See, so I said C, chat says B, you said B?
Yeah. Move the first Enola Holmes over. So if we're going to put it B, we want to bump down Stardust, or do you want to put Argylle? I mean, Stardust is going to bump down. It doesn't have any other direction to go.
I mean, listen, I'm fine with Argylle being the C tier. That's where I have it. In fact, Argylle and Enola Holmes are my C tier. So
yeah, I'm okay with that also. Mainly because we're about to sit here and like, do we want to move anything around? In which it would be moved around anyway. So might as well just go ahead and get straight to the moving around.
Oh, I'm not sure, Nerd. You know, I think sometimes, unless we actually say, "Hey, can we get some votes in from the chats?" People sometimes forget to vote, so it could be anyone kind of popping their vote in there.
That being said, other than the Man from U.N.C.L.E., do we want to move anything else around?
Yeah, we want to move the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Let's move Man from U.N.C.L.E. right there next to Count of Monte Cristo and Fallout to the left of Man of Steel. No, I mean, it is what it is. I don't really like, this doesn't really feel like there's anything that I need to shift around. I mean, that's my F tier.
The only ones I was really passionate about is Count of Monte Cristo in S and Immortals in F. That's it. Everything else, like, I mean, BVS, that really did need to go to F as well. But everything else, I feel very general about the rest of the movies for the most part. I did want to still put Uncle a little bit lower, but I'm okay with it. So,
I mean, if I'm agreeing with Count of Monte Cristo being the top of S tier, then Man from U.N.C.L.E. has to be somewhere up there too.
The only other thing I could possibly see, well, no, never mind. I was gonna say swap Justice League and Man of Steel, but nah. No. I'll give it for Man of Steel that I feel like Man of Steel had a better storytelling aspect to it than either of the Justice League movies.
I think, just as a Superman movie as a whole, I think Man of Steel's pretty
up there,
high tier when it comes to a Superman story. So And
It's
plus,
like
again,
Superman 1, Superman 2, Man of Steel, and Superman Returns is way down somewhere.
there's also just an argument to be made for Henry Cavill's casting as Superman bumping that movie up so high by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything else really shifts around. I mean, I don't like that Enola Holmes 2 is that low, but I think it's splitting hairs and nitpicking to try to find something to push around at this point. So I think I'm just going to have to chalk that one up to a personal taste on those particular movies, which I'm not super passionate about the Enola Holmes movies. I would love to see a third one, but my gosh, I'm not going to go to my grave and die on a hill for the Enola Holmes films. Right. I will for Man of Uncle, though, and I'm pissed that it's an A tier, not S.
So that is where everything is landing. So again, I'll clean up the image, get it kicked out to social media tomorrow afternoon. Please feel free to comment, share, retweet, quote tweet, whatever opinion you may have. That is a good place for it. Or if you want to do it here in the comments down below. Anyways, let's go ahead and get Carl out here to fix this. All right, and Carl, hit it.
I believe also Nerd sent in a Streamlabs with his ranking. So
yes, Nerd did. So those he wasn't able to watch Tristan and Isolde or Immortals, but he's got S tier, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Mission Impossible Fallout. A tier, Stardust. B tier, Enola Holmes and Count of Monte Cristo. C tier, Argylle, Enola Holmes 2. D tier, Man of Steel and the Justice League Snyder Cut. And F tier, as it should be, Batman v Superman.
I'm not mad at his list at all.
No.
Also because our S tiers look exactly the same. And that's really all that matters, to be honest.
Your S tier with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Count of Monte Cristo.
I don't care what movies you dislike as long as you like the same movies as me.
Welcome to how film Twitter works, everyone. That's film Twitter in one concise sentence description right there. Anyways, so that is it for the Marquee. I think this might be like on probably up there with like one of our shortest Marquee episodes ever.
That's what happens when you have 12 movies.
Yeah, which is nice. I like a nice easy breezy night.
Easy breezy, beautiful Henry Cavill.
I forgot to look this up, but is there anything that is coming up that we were going to talk about on Tagline that we did not mention?
We have our 2 Patreon dates this month for anyone who's interested in that, and that is the 21st and 28th, I believe.
Yeah, so Wednesday 21st will be trivia. Wednesday the 28th will be the watch along, which is going to be Get Out.
Yeah, we're going to do Get Out for this month.
Yeah, so that is after Tagline on both of those Wednesdays. And then there is going to be another announcement that we will talk about on Tagline this Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. It is involving the future of a part of this channel. So
yeah. Also, we don't have finalized exactly what the Marquee I think looks like next month. We had an idea for what we wanted to do, and now
we have to scrap it.
And we're scrapping it and going with something different instead, which happens. I mean, we've kind of planned out this entire year, and some of these might get scrapped as we get closer to them and exchanged for different ideas, but we will let you guys know in a timely fashion as to what next month's Marquee will be.
Yep. Anyways, so that is going to do it for the Marquee. Again, all y'all who are here live, thank you for being here. Very much appreciate everyone who constantly gives us their time to watch our silly little shows. So very much appreciate it. If you're here watching on a replay, thank you for, again, same thing, giving us your time. We absolutely love that. Everyone, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Again, it's important here on the YouTubes. Make sure you follow us at the Cinefanatics on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can follow me personally at RCA Reacts on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, which I'll be adding content to here in a little bit, and youtube.com/@RCA Reacts.
And you can follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP.
Anyways, that's going to do it for tonight's Marquee. Thank you for watching. We will all of us.
And me.
And Chris. Apparently, I'm more than one person. We'll see you on the next video that we make pretty soon. That's some point. Oh, wait. Yeah. That'll be Sunday. All the Super Bowl trailers. So
as long as they don't all get released before then, which we've got a day between now and then. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Anyways, keep an eye out for that. We're going to be busy Sunday night releasing videos. So we'll see you then. Good night. Play sometime. I don't know if you want to. Cool.
Software.